BBC Hooniverse.
So, when you look at the era of Duty Calculator, you can think, well, this is a experimental year. This is a year like no other. So, with Jodie Whittaker's final year, we had The Timeless Child, we had The Fugitive Doctor, we had lots of things on. Now, for Shooty's year, we had By Generation, we had The Rani Return, we had Sutek, we had Omega. And so the universe, the Doctor, and everything sort of changed once again to something brand new, something different. What I mean by brand new and different, I do mean I am talking about the By Generation, because obviously the Rani's not new, but it is a new actor now playing the Rani, so the Rani has regenerated and By-generated. Omega has upgraded, transformed, been eaten alive, and all this, all that jazz. So I do think that it's changed, and I think that's partly down to the way that Disney handled itself. I think it's partly down to how Russell gathered the writers and gathered his thoughts and went, this is how we're going to do it, and had him Mrs. Flood there as a mystery. A lot of the mystery of Mrs. Flood is still left to be resolved, so hopefully that in the future she gets brought back and then fixed. I think the whole fourth wall breaking thing that needs to be cleared up, and so hopefully something comes out of all this and we go, oh, that makes more sense. Oh, alright. Because that is what you sort of want from the franchise now, and that's what we want from the program now, is we want all answers resolved, fixed. Because if you look at Classic Who, you could probably poke so many holes in it, right? Because there's probably so many different things wrong with certain stories that don't make sense, that don't add up. I think that's what we need to do with New Who, is just leave it. Because eventually, things will get solved, whether or not that's in audio, or whether or not that's on visual, on telly. But I think that that's what you need to be careful of. And I think that's what works really well for Shooty's era, is that Disney, what didn't work well for his era, in my opinion, and in most opinions, is obviously the whole issue of 8 a.m. midnight. That did not work for his era. That's what let him down, because the specials 60th weren't that, the Christmas specials weren't that, the final of Series 15 wasn't that, and the others were, and I think that that's what lets down Doctor Who as a whole thing, is that it doesn't consistently do the same thing, scheduling wise. I think airing it at 6:57, whatever, is fine, but not sort of explain it, not airing it at midnight and then changing it to 8 a.m. doesn't work. And my hope for the next era is that they don't do that. My hope is that all of that is sort of changed and fixed and reverted back, because they realise that more viewers are watching Doctor Who than ever on broadcast if it wasn't available beforehand. And I think that would make 10 times, 12 times, 13 times more sense than anything else. And I don't think that's anything you can sort of disagree with. You could argue that that's not right, and you could argue that it needs to be in a different way, but as a whole, it's as Radio 4 would say, it's a fair cop. There's a Radio 4 sitcom, comedy called It's a Fair Cop. That was a joke I was trying to make. And so, if we really get down to the end of this, and if you can really get to the bottom of it, my personal thought is that Shooty's era was fantastic, was glorious, and should live on forever. I think the legacy of his era, like Jodie's era, will be massive. And I think that more people will get tattoos and all sorts from this era. And I think that it will leave a long-standing legacy on people, with people, of all. Because you had the people that were fans and people that adored and people that lives had changed and things had happened because of Jodie's era, and I think that that's happened again for a whole separate set of people. So what I mean is that you had some fans that joined Doctor Who for Jodie's era and it changed their life forever. You had some fans that seen what happened in Jodie's era and grew confident and were able to be who they wanted to be. And then again, I think because it's the way that Ncuti handles himself and it's the way that Ncuti portrays the character, I think he's done it again. The Doctor shouldn't be any type of person, really. The Doctor is a role model for everyone, right? The Doctor tries to say, this is who he is. You can, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, you can be whoever you want to be. And the Doctor's all about acceptance, and he can accept all this. And I think that's what the fans love, and I think that's what the fans cherish, and that's what helps fans sort of get into their comfort zone, be confident of who they are, and be able to say, this is me. And I think that's just what makes Doctor Who incredible. And Jodie's era and now Ncuti's era is, I think, from what I can tell online, has sort of done that exact thing, and that deserves a round of applause. And no one can argue that that's not a good thing. That is fantastic, and Doctor Who's all about making those fantastic moments, whether or not that's aliens, monsters, villains, companions. But at the end of the day, it's acceptance of who you are. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the official Tom Mason YouTube channel.